house, Mr. All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Avini Vibes. Today is a very special day for me. It's July 18th, 2024, and today is my wedding anniversary, 15 years. And Craig is he's here in the other room, and this is my commitment to you.
Oh,
And
looks like you're one up on me there, Christine.
what's that? When's your anniversary? Is it tonight
Four,
too?
we just celebrated our 14th year last month.
There you go. So, but
Nice.
I just grateful that we're all here tonight at Avini Vibes. And remember, we do not make medical claims, nor do we diagnose or treat. We're here to educate, we're here to share and learn from one another and to build community around this amazing, amazing company, Avini Health. Great company, which we're very, very excited. So welcome everyone. And with that, I just want to tell you that, we've had amazing 2 weeks. I don't know about you, but things are percolating. Time flies. Like I just said, 15 years of blissful marriage and almost, how Avini has been around 2 years. And now I looked at the calendar and wow, time flies. I've been involved with the company for a while now, and I'm very, very grateful. So we're going to have, like I said, we were supposed to have Pat Tracy as a speaker last week, and some of you know she had a terrible time with the storm, and I believe a tree came down. Oh, there she is. So as I'm speaking of our very own Pat Tracy, she's going to be our guest in a couple of weeks. We're going to let her recover from that storm. Pat, good to see you. We're talking about
Thank
you.
you. I appreciate it.
So Pat, you made it through the storm, and you have intermittent internet, right?
Correct.
We're going to wait and we're going to feature you when you're ready, okay? I just wanted to let everybody know.
Thank
And,
you.
and then
Appreciate it.
next week, we're glad that you're okay and that your house didn't get hit.
Thank you for the prayers. Yeah, I only lost part of a roof, so I've got a leak, but it's what it is.
Well, we're glad you're okay. And next week, we're going to have Kyle Helm as our speaker. And then in a couple of weeks, we will have Chris Bruce's wife. And that's going to be interesting because she grew up in the life of a network marketing child. She's an adult now, but her story is amazing. Got to hear her testimony and her story of what it was like growing up with a dad that was very much involved in network marketing as a profession and a career. And so just think about that. I'm going to send out an email as soon as I confirm those dates with them. They were at a family retreat. So we had to kind of move things around for the summer. But with that said, Chip, we want you to jump in and share some information. You were probably on most of the calls this week because I love the way Chip always comes in and does a wrap up and, fills us. He can kind of give us a little fill in. I was light this week on the 11 o'clock calls personally. But Chip, we just want to welcome you and feel free, Chip, to share your wisdom, your knowledge, and everybody feel free to, share testimonial as we continue. So welcome, Chip.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. And we can be real informal and visit. I heard from Christine earlier in the evening, and she said that I would have some time with you guys tonight. And as I've thought about it, as the afternoon has rolled on, my mind has gone to a strange place, and it's really along the way some of the adventures, courtesy of this kind of work, and the early moments when I thought, oh my gosh, I think I'd like to do that. That's a crazy thought. When you look at people who are working in network marketing and they're building this thing that's some sort of a structure kept track of by a computer. At that time it would have been somebody would have been keeping track but by hand on paper, I suppose. And you think, gosh, that's me. I think I could do that moment. And what got me probably, and I remember when I was much younger, and Mars and I already had the RV place, but some people sponsored us in Amway, And we went over to Denver to this big gathering over there. They called it Dream Night. And my goodness, the people were so many people, and they're all so fancy. And when you went in, there was barely a place to sit, and there were 10 people per table, and there wasn't room at the table where I knew anybody. So I just sat down at a table where I didn't know anybody. And they started putting up these pictures of, you know, helicopters and jet planes and beautiful homes and all that stuff way up in the front. And I was way in the back of the room, and I remember they kind of went around the table and they asked each person, you know, what rank they were in Amway, and they got to me, and of course I didn't even know what the ranks were, but I didn't want to, you know, be totally left out or seem like a fool. So I said, well, actually, I'm an Amway Eagle. I thought that sounded pretty impressive. Yeah, apparently that there isn't such a thing. I don't know, but my explanation to myself is I sit on a high perch and watch what's going on, and certainly did do that and kind of marveled at what was happening there. But as people would walk across the stage and maybe the people who were getting a good start, they had done, I think it was 1,500 in a month, something like that. And I mean, it just, that seemed so outlandish, impossible to me. You know, how could I ever, you know, even hit the starting line? But it did. I thought, okay, they're interesting. The people were interesting. They seemed to be a little bit more alive than the other people, right? And they seemed to think that they were onto something big. And so years later, a cowboy couple, Butch and Bonnie Terrell, stopped by our RV place and talked to Marcy. Next thing I know, she has some unusual products and, you know, has a big visit with them, and they're gone. But then every week or so, this cowboy would call the house and say, hey, come on over, we're going to have a meeting. And this went on for several months, and we never went. But one night, Marcy was doing something else, and Butch called. And I thought, well, you know, that might be interesting. I'll just go over. So I went over to the Candlelight Inn here in Scottsbluff, down in the basement. And here was Cowboy Butch. And he got to be one of my running buddies. You know, so I see Ray there, and I love it that Ray has running buddies. And I wish all of you somebody that you love to work with, somebody that you like to do this with, that you get a kick out of talking about it and thinking about it and, you know, strategizing with. And so I got a kick out of this guy. I mean, he's larger than life. He's a rodeo cowboy. He's had hip replacements. He would become the senior pro rodeo world champion in steer wrestling. He was a steer wrestler, a roper, and you know, just, and then to have these little topics like cowboy arithmetic. You know, my cowboy arithmetic, and he's going over the comp plan, and he's talking about cowboy arithmetic. So I just kind of figured that I'd be okay if I got to this level, you know, that kind of thing. And he made it kind of fun and interesting. And then, so I thought, well, I'll go back the next time. And so came time for the next one. And, you know, the weather was a little rough. It was in winter time. I went over, and all the people were there, but he didn't make it. He was from 100 miles away up north of us, and the blizzard was between us and him, and he couldn't make it. And there was kind of like this, I probably shouldn't say it this way, but sort of a lynch mob mentality. They didn't want to leave, but somebody had to go up and conduct a meeting. And I was the one that got, you know, run up to the front to conduct the meeting. And the second one I'd ever been at, and they wanted me to go to the front and conduct the meeting. And I thought, okay, this is interesting. And I think maybe I've told you guys before, and what I did, I thought, okay, I wonder about them. They wonder about me. I wonder about them. And I just started going around the room and asking them, you know, what it was that they saw, why they were there. And so many of them, it was some health concern or something about their business life. And all of a sudden, this looked so much more attractive to them. And each one that spoke, I thought, yeah, well, yeah, I mean, it was every person just seemed so real and so interesting to me. And and then I kind of, began to get suspicious. Maybe I'm home. Maybe these are my people, right? And so when I'm with you guys tonight, I'm sitting here thinking, okay, well, I know I'm home now, and I know these are my people. And so what happened as a result of that? We raised two little kids under tables and in the front of rooms, but also they got to go all over this country and multiple countries, and they grew up being so interesting. Well, what was it that was driving us? Maybe it was for, Marcy's highly creative, not scared of anything. For me, because of the military thing, the parachuting, all that kind of special forces stuff, you kind of get hooked on that cheap thrills thing, right? And what are you going to do when you stop doing that to have it be interesting enough to get your attention? To me, it's that kind of cool and interesting. This is, if you have ever, well, Joyce Rood is on with us tonight. I saw Joyce sign in a little bit ago. The more I get to know about each and every one of you, the more fascinating you become. This week I learned that Joyce Rood is the mother of a Navy Master Chief that's a super deep diver. But before that, I knew that when she turned 80, she decided to do a parachute jump. Yeah. And you kind of think, okay, these are my people, right? This is so interesting. I used to do a little thing when I'd go into a group, and I don't know if it'll work with this group, but it's at least a Zoom so I can see your faces. And how many people in here have been someplace where their family went and because of the nature of the venue, it was remote enough that the only place to go to the bathroom was outside or at an outhouse, that there was an outhouse part of it. Okay, so see the hands going up there. There's people here with outhouses. Now, today it's porta potties. I always tell people, if there's a whole bunch of porta potties, it's fun, because that isn't fun. So the rest of the event has to be cool. It'll be a bicycle thing. That's where I find them a lot of times in my life. And so if it's a little bit telling. Then the other one, and this is kind of specific to things like Avini. And you wouldn't think that there'd be many people, but this is a little check. After a rain, the worms all come out, right? And it's a great time for the robins, but you're walking along the highway, the sun all of a sudden comes out, and the concrete's drying, the sidewalk's drying, the curb's drying. And you look down, and there's an earthworm leaving a trail of shiny behind him, but everything in front of him is dry. Are there people in the call tonight who reached down and picked up that earthworm and set him over in the grass? Okay, 1, 2, they're Pat, Lisa. Who would think there's people like that in the world? That tells me, who would think, right, that people have done that? But I found out that, that kind of people wind up here. They saw that worm was in trouble, and they thought they were the one that could make the difference, and reached down and set him over in the grass. What do we do every day? We see him in trouble. We realize that we're the one. We reach down, we pick him up, we set him over in the grass. That's who you guys are. It's just an interesting thing. So then I would joke, with Cowboy Butch, we'd go to put on a presentation someplace. So, we're country people. He's cowboy, so he gets around. I mean, it's not that we don't know stuff. It's not like we've never been anywhere, but we play the country thing pretty good. And I'd start the meeting by saying, is there anybody in the audience? I'll ask you guys. Is there anybody in the audience tonight who bought a vehicle from Whip and Ride Auto Sales in Chadron, Nebraska? Yeah, okay, I don't see anybody. That's why that deal didn't work. But because you guys didn't buy any vehicles from Whip and Ride Auto Sales, in Chadron, Nebraska. But guess what? There were people all over the country that got involved in network marketing because Butch was an interesting guy and he liked it. And this is just a little bit more cool and interesting stuff. My way that I hold things up is a little bit slippery tonight. But yeah, there we go. Got y'all back. Oh, let's stay up there. Anyway, those kind of things were fascinating to me, and then got to be that I saw that there would be topics about people's health, and I was kind of interested in that. I was interested. See if this seems like any of you guys interested in living things and what makes us more alive. Pretty good description. Any head bobbers that sound like you? Interested in living things, what makes us more alive? To maybe if you're an athlete, you're hot rodding the body all the time. You look at that adventure machine, you want to get a little bit more out of it, get a few more years out of it, get another 10 feet to get it over the fence or whatever it is that you're looking for. And you're hot rodding your body all the time, and you become fascinated with how it works. And so I thought, okay, and what they're having us do is look something up or talk to somebody else when those topics came up. And I thought, I like to know about that. So I thought I'm gonna figure out, I think I can answer some of those questions. So when all of a sudden somebody needs a doctor, I'll say, well, let me float an answer to you first. And then if you feel like you still need to talk to, a doctor, or look it up and find it in a study or something, fine. But I like that. And that's really my role here, is to just kind of look at, what's going right or wrong with somebody, how we could maybe get back on track and use the ideas and the products that we have that are so powerful. Never been better armed than we are right now. Pretty much any situation for people, we have the capability to not just empathize, but say, hey, what's the best thing you found so far to solve that problem? Well, let me tell you what we've got. Well, maybe we could put our heads together and make a team and get a better result. Well, there's your invitation to join. Maybe we could put our heads together and outsmart it and get a better result. And so it turns out that the country flare, and each and every one of you, have your own history. I know some of you, and I know some of your histories, and what fascinating people. The first three on the left, Ed Klasky, Pat Tracy, and Ray Shulin. How do you find three more off the wall, unusual, fascinating humans than just three right off the top, and Joseph right below them, and Raksha and Lisa? I don't know a lot about you, but I'm watching your face, and I bet I'd get a kick out of knowing more. And so I'm a little uncomfortable in big crowds of people, but if you can just get one of them, I find them pretty interesting. Genuinely kind of interested in that person and what makes them tick and how they got here and what cool experiences they've had. I remember a guy came up to us at the National Western Stock Show one time, and he was just all beat up, terrible. And, it had things that were for discomfort. And I said, well, how'd you get hurt so bad? Well, he said, I'm horrified of water. Really? How did that hurt you? Well, he said, I was on a nighttime military parachute drop, and I looked down and I saw waves below me, and I thought it was the ocean, so I cut away when I got low, and it was a wheat field.
Oh.
There's a story for you, right? He literally cut away his parachute canopy when he thought he was low enough because he was afraid to be tangled up in the lines in the ocean, and it was a wheat field. And that's how the guy. I mean, these are just stuff you run into, right? And the humans, there is trouble in the humans, but sometimes we get too many of us too crowded together. It's funny because all of a sudden people don't get to know each other anymore. When you're a little further apart, you have maybe more normal spacing, you do get to know each other. And then here, it's like a million times better than that, because you have people who have been selected by somebody because they're interested in them and they're interesting people. And then they decide to maybe participate. So I look at the group today, and the group would be self-selected to show up on the call tonight, right? Highly motivated for some reason, maybe you don't even know exactly why you'd like to do this instead of what you are been doing. I'd kind of like, we had that RV place, any given moment wasn't bad, but there was a lot of moments. There's a lot of time on that chunk of concrete. And people would say, what do you know about those RV refrigerators? Are they any good? And I'd say, well, I'm probably not the right guy to ask. All the ones I see are broken. And it's kind of like that with the humans. All the ones I see are broken. But when we work with people, and we've got some athletic people on the presentation tonight, and I like to work with everybody as though the high performance version of them is available again. Right? The high performance, unlimited version of you is available again. And if you happen to be sick, I often will say during a call, if somebody's maybe horribly ill, guess what? If you called and said you were going to be in the next Olympics, we pretty much do the same thing we're doing for your problem. And so I'm going to look at you, I'm going to treat you, think of you as though you're an athlete. It's just that your first event is getting well. I love that. And then they buy into it. They start remembering who they are and what they're made of. I love that little twist in a conversation. And by the way, wouldn't it be cool? This is another great spot in a conversation. If the person suggested you do something for your health was also doing it for their health. Wouldn't that be cool? Where do you go to find that? Well, here you are. And it's so obvious when you just bluntly say it like that. What if the person suggesting that you did something for your health was also doing it for their health? Then you're in the right place. Then you're in the right place. Then you're not risking something. You're not hurting people to help them. This is natural stuff. We have to help you to help you. We can't risk something to help you. Rick Deitch came from Duke Cancer Research Institute, where he was a computer-assisted drug designer. He was helping 2 Nobel Prize winners in cancer research make chemotherapy drugs. 2 of them got Nobel Prizes. Monroe Wall for Taxol. You've been around anybody taking chemo, Taxol is pretty common, right? And Gertrude Elion for camptothecin. I was on with Rick one time, and happened to be somebody else on, and they were going to be taking chemo, and they mentioned, the drug they were going to take, and he said, I actually helped to develop that. Well, how do you, that's the kind of, this comes from smart, and it attracts smart people. I like that line. It comes from smart, and it attracts smart.
That's good, Chip. Comes from smart and attracts smart. I like that. You said that before, and that always stuck with me.
All right. So if it sticks, then, and it sounds right to you, and especially if it seems like it would sound right coming out of you,
Yeah.
especially if it sounds like it would sound right and true coming out of you, then you've got something you can use. Comes from smart and it attracts smart. So his job was the particular one, camptothecin analogs, were nearly perfect in lab animals. He said, give me a lab animal with a tumor, camptothecin will solve it, just slick as can be. But when we went into human trials, it adhered to a circulating human protein, which is circulating human albumin. Remember that, because albumin is the white stuff in eggs, right?
Yes.
Now you know the word. If you want to be a name dropper, it's a little trick I do, and you guys may notice me doing it. I'm, I practice all the time. I know you guys aren't going to, probably challenge me too much, but a lot of the docs, they'll want to look down their nose at people, and so they'll say a word and they'll just give the letters, and then I'll say the whole thing. And I do that about twice, and they quit testing me. I've just learned that. So, or I'll just say something like circulating human albumin. Well, they probably don't know about that. They probably don't know about camptothecin analogs. They probably don't know what the exact problem was. They don't know how it kills. But Rick does. I don't know everything, but I just know a few things that he teaches us. And so, and so think about this. His job was to figure out how to hurt you less or risk less if you took that drug. That's what he was doing. And in a matter of weeks, he could do what it would take years to do in the lab, because he was a computer-assisted drug designer. He could model things and find out what would happen without having to actually risk somebody, right?
Right.
But if that's your job, to hurt people less or risk less, what would be the question in your mind all the time? Gee, I wonder if there's something that could at least be a wash. We didn't hurt them at all. Or what if we could figure out how to help them instead of hurting them to help them? I mean, wouldn't that be the question that was in your mind all day, every day while you're doing it? You're like a guy, breaking rocks by hitting two rocks together. You're pretty likely to be the guy that invents a hammer. Right?
Right.
Oh my gosh. I just reminded myself of a moment. And because of this, I've gotten to travel a lot of the world and do such interesting things. I remember leaving India in Calcutta and had traveled across northern India with a bunch of agriculture. People expected to be leaders in agriculture, which was me at one time. And there was a guy out in between the runway and the taxiway on a pile of big rocks. And he might as well have been in prison, because he did have a hammer, but he was hitting the big rocks, breaking them into little rocks and throwing them onto a different pile, probably to be made, used to make another runway or another taxiway, right? But it struck me when I looked out at that guy, I bet he could spend his whole career breaking those rocks and never afford to get on this plane. Just got into the wrong deal.
Right.
He should have joined Avini if there was such a thing. I mean, you can work your way out of a pile of rocks with that. Did you see the kind of thinking that's here to me? And you don't have to buy a building and buy a bunch of inventory and hire some people and set up bookkeeping and all that kind of stuff. It's done. It's a little bit like walking up someplace and getting a job where you don't have to do all that either, except that you own it. You own your part of it. And something about, if you want to have your own thing, and if you mash the gas, it goes. And if you just enjoy it as it is, enjoy it as it is. That's fine. And to have the freedom to do that, nobody, I guess you get all the aspects of a business except for one thing. You don't get a boss here.
Right.
unless you want to sit down and talk to yourself. And you say, I would like to do this, or I would like to do that. But I mean, how many people would like to be their own leader? Wouldn't you? I bet you in your working life, you've had leaders that you didn't like and were frustrating, and ones that you love. And now you're your own. Well, I hadn't really thought about that before. Yeah, I've always told people, whether you've got a good boss or bad boss, you can learn something from him then when you're the boss. But the next step to that rocket with us in this conversation tonight is, now you're your own boss. What kind of boss are you going to be for yourself?
So Chip, I want to ask the question. So you're your own boss now. It's very, very important that our bucket that we put the rocks in doesn't have too many holes in it. So it's important when we're in this type of business to keep our belief level up, because people, if they're isolated or people are all by themselves and their bucket has holes in it and their belief level is going dry, so don't you agree that's an important piece of, if you're your own boss, you got to have, you can have two types of chatter going on. This isn't going to work. This isn't going to work. Or, yeah, this is going to work, and like I have my little comp plan in front of me with my little dates and my goals and how many people I want to help in a day. And I know I heard Shu speak, and I know Shu goes out with his intention every day to who God's going to put in front of him that he's going to go share, you know? But that's such an important piece if we're our own boss. And what's that boss saying to you every day in the morning when you wake up and you're going about your day?
There was probably a moment for each of you, I bet you, when you just saw it and you said, oh my gosh, that's important. That's worthwhile. That merits my effort, my attention. It's something I'm willing to represent and reach out to people. And if it hits you just as true, and you see it, and you say, "Oh my gosh, that's maybe one of the most important things I've ever learned." But then, I think what Christine is really asking is, or maybe pointing out, is the value of getting together like this, to come in amongst a community where the preponderance of the people see it just like you do. I've got a little test for you tonight, and some of you will see this, and some of you won't see it right away. Interestingly, Marcy didn't see it right away. Can you read my shirt?
We should put you.
Can anybody read it? If anybody can read it out loud. Alan's got his hand up. Go ahead and read it out loud, and then everybody will be able to see it.
Intelligence is the ability to adapt to changes.
Go slowly. Top line.
Intelligence is the ability to adapt to changes.
Can you see it now? Do you get it? And who said that? Can you read the bottom line? That's an eye chart then.
Hawkins, Hawkins.
Stephen Hawkins.
Stephen Hawkins.
Yeah. And so, for a moment there, maybe you couldn't see it. And then when Alan said it, then you could see it. Did anybody have that experience? You couldn't read it, and then all of a sudden, oh yeah, I see it. Well, for Marcy, it was like that. And then I have another shirt, a different message done the same way. Well, then she could see it instantly. Well, it's just a little mind trick. But Alan, for you, it's just, probably part of how his brain works. Who knows what problem he solved along the way that allowed him to just see that. But some people look at something like Avini, and it's so obvious, so important, so valuable, that it just compels you to act on it. And others, you hold it up in front of them, and they can't see it yet. Well, it's okay, get somebody like Alan to read it to them, And
I've actually been waiting for you to stand up so I could read the rest of it.
Okay.
No, I mean, before I saw the top line and I saw what it was.
You had noticed it. I wore it for, just thinking maybe I could work it into the talk tonight. So, but seeing Avini and seeing network marketing is like that for me too. When I first saw it, okay, I saw there was something there. I saw those guys with all those cool vehicles, in Denver, and all those people coming to hear him talk. But I didn't know the language. I couldn't understand it. I thought it was interesting, but I couldn't understand it. Then a little cowboy read it to me, and I said, "Oh, I do see it. I do see it, and I do like it, and I think it's huge." I knew tonight was going to be weird, you guys, so maybe I don't need to go on anymore. But I'm never going to run out of stuff. I thought about telling you this will open doors, and it'll make you have such an interesting life if you wish to be associated here. I don't know if anybody listened to Monday morning's call, The Energy Guy. What an interesting character. What a different perspective he had. But at one point in my life, and I may have told you this before, I'm an old Special Forces guy. I got to drive the newest U.S. nuclear submarine one time. Not because I was in Special Forces, because I was in network marketing.
Oh,
What's
yeah?
the chances of that? Right? I mean, this will take you places you can't imagine. And you'll meet people that are so interesting, and yourselves included. I just this is a special group for me, and especially important group that gets here in the vibes, and it's bigger sometimes and smaller sometimes, and you guys are if you've got a hot guest coming. Kyle Helm is a hot guest, by the way, next week. That's a great one to invite people to. He is such a gifted young speaker and such an interesting perspective, and the little kids and being a dad and stuck out on the road and rock and roll drummer, and who's the guy that he drummed for? Who can remember?
Chuck Berry,
Chuck
wasn't
Berry. Yeah, Chuck Berry. Johnny Be Good. Did you know that one of the outreaches to alien life in outer space sent out kind of like a time capsule? One of the things that was sent out on one of the space probes had things in it to just kind of reveal things about our civilization, and one of the things in there was music from Chuck Berry.
it? Yes, that's right. I heard that once.
Father of rock and roll kind of a guy. And you guys are the fathers of this. Maybe somebody wants to look down their nose at you a
And
little
mothers.
bit, think you're weird. Your mothers.
And
Yeah.
mothers.
No, what did you say? Your mothers or your others?
No, mothers. We're fathers and mothers.
Yes,
And
no,
others.
that's a good. Tell me. Do you have something you say about that? I remember
No.
my mom. Okay, so mom and dad we were all on the railroad at one time, all of us and Alan. I was an engine dispatcher like Alan, and mom and dad. Dad was a engineer on the railroad, fireman and oiler, then an engineer. Mom was clerk for the district foreman. But then when they retired, they'd go to Arizona each year on traveling RVs. They were snowbirds, and I always imagined in my mind, they were like hermits at home, but they go down there and they were like social butterflies. They had people to meet and stuff to do every night. Going somewhere, doing something, and they'd sit down and talk about their kids, right? Well, do you have any kids? I can just hear my parents now. Yes, we do have a boy and a girl. Well, tell us about them. Oh, my daughter went to Augustana nursing school, and she's a brilliant young nurse and ran the nursing homes and stuff in our town, and then went on from there. And well, what about your son? And he's in marketing. Like under their breath, I was like, well, he's in network marketing. I'm sure they didn't really do that, but I kind of had that picture in my mind. But over time, as you can imagine, and I'm going to tell you guys, being involved in Avini and helping get this started, I believe will be one of the most respected things you could have done with your career. I really believe that. I think what we're doing is that kind of important and that kind of value, and you'll be rewarded at that level. That's what I think.
We'll be the grandparents.
Yes, exactly.
We will be the grandparents. Shoo, I love it. Eddie,
Yeah, we're going up.
we're going up. That's right.
Going up.
Can I tell you?
So I knew it was going to be weird tonight, but I
Joyce,
figured
Joyce has a comment.
Go
Oh,
ahead. Yeah.
I just
Hi,
thought
Joyce.
I'd tell you a little story because most of the time, you know, if they find out you're a network marketer, I mean, this whole village is full of older people and they all have their old ideas. Anyway, I went to, I had all my stuff with me. I had the success book. I had the pages of the professional people. And I went to get a new pickleball paddle and I was going to talk to the fella that was there the first time I went to that pickleball place. And it was his boss instead. And I had all that stuff. And I said, well, here's the hydration stuff for the athletes. And here's all this stuff. And I went rambling on about how we have this program for professional people that just, they want to do their doctoring. They want to do their massages. They want to do their own thing that they love. And they'd love to be in a network marketing company that's going to get really big if they could find one for sure. And yet they don't want to do the work. And I said, we got this great program. And I said, anyway, I said, well, how about this pickleball store? You like what you're doing? Well, it's an investment thing. And they got some investors, about $400,000. And of course, I don't usually talk to people about money. It's not really my thing. But anyway, he got to talking and I found out that he was, I would say, the most eligible prospect that I've ever come across. He grew up in an Amway family. He's used to looking at marketing plans and analyzing them. And he has a wife and 3 daughters. And the third daughter is 21 and she's extremely handicapped. She's like about on a four-year-old level, and Asperger's and dementia, all kinds of stuff. And I just told him I'd get back with him some information. And he took all the stuff. He's going to look it all up and everything. So I was just walking around. It doesn't matter if he gets in or not, but I just came to one of those. I came to one of those right kind of people that, and you know, just, they didn't just sit there like a stone. Anyway, that was my
Ray was right there beside you in heart. He's rooting for you. That's his style, and you did it, Joyce. That's great. What a wonderful reward for a conversation.
Amen. Yeah, absolutely. Joyce, thanks for sharing that. You know, you never know who you're going to meet, right? You never know who's asking, praying for the answer, and you had it and offered it. You didn't hold back. So thank you, Joyce. Joyce, where are you from?
I'm from, well, I live in Laguna Woods, California now, but I'm from Oregon, and we had a dairy farm. And the thing about toxins is my husband, who was on that dairy farm, he has most of his whole life died of multiple myeloma, which has to do with pesticides and herbicides. He wasn't even 70. And the thing I'm doing is I believe in all of this stuff. And I have these 4 grown kids. And I don't think they believe yet, it's been 10 or 12 years, that their dad really did die for that reason, because he was a wrestler and a runner and a jogger and just a very healthy person. But he just, in 3 months, he was gone from this terrible disease. And I mean, he lived in Coos Bay, North Bend, Oregon. Why would you get a terrible disease of cancer there? Well, because of the farms, you know. So anyway, that's kind of my story. And so I love what we're doing. And thank you for all of your support. Great.
Tell your parachuting story, Joyce.
Oh, well, that's my granddaughter. They're kind of wild and crazy too. And I wasn't so wild and crazy at the time, but because I was turning 80, and my granddaughter said, hey, Grandma, you want to go skydiving with me for your birthday? I said, sure.
Oh.
And
Yay.
yeah,
You
so
did it? Did you go?
Oh, yeah, I did. Yeah. Well, you get somebody above you that's hanging on, you know, too. But you get in this tiny little plane, and there's just all these people. All these young guys are just going out by themselves, you know, just flipping around. They don't have to have somebody with them, but all of us were strapped to one other person. And my daughter, who's not really all that daring. She's walking on her way and they're trying to interview you. So for their videos, for their future, we want to find the happiest person, all this. So she's walking along and they said, how are you, Ms. Bird? Mrs. Urias, do you feel good about this today? She says, I'm not saying much. I mean, she was, yeah. Like, all right, I'm about to get in plan. I mean, she just wasn't friendly. She was nervous. She was more nervous than the rest of us, but she did it too. It was so much fun.
Well,
Yeah.
you're
When
great.
they interview you, what did you say, Joyce?
Oh, I said I was happy to be there. I said I was tickled to death. That was, look at, my whole family came with me and we had to wait several hours for the clouds to get out of the way. Apparently, you can't do it in the clouds because they don't have their advertising. They can't see you. They have to have their videos of everything. It has to be a money-making thing. You had to sign a lot of papers about how you might die. You had to sign
My kids skydive. Both of them have skydiving. For Christmas, they got me a gift certificate. But now that you've inspired me to do it, Joyce, you might have to go with me and jump out with me.
Yay, go, go.
Yeah.
That'd be one more point of coincidence between Christine and I. The more I learn about Christine, the more I think we grew up together someplace.
I think we did. I think we did.
Our
So,
skydiving team. I could see that.
well,
Guys, you don't have to make it real long tonight. I mean, but you can, I'll do whatever you want. I mean, it's up to you guys. Do you have any questions or comments? Somebody else want to throw a story in? Where are we at here?
Lisa.
I've got a, so, my reluctance to share this, I think, is I have been in other network marketing companies and got out because what I have said is I'm not good at running a downline. I can do sales, but organizing the rest of it, I was never good at. And I've just never, I've just never been successful. I've got thousands of dollars worth of vitamins from another company and I love their stuff, but I haven't been good at promoting my business. Promoting it as a business. I've been a wholesale buyer, wholesale user.
Call me. Just call me.
But I would like to, but Avini is different. I really want to share this.
So you just heard Shu offer himself. He came from that exact same space. Yes, Shu?
Yes, for sure. Yep.
Pretty
Didn't
much
want nothing to do with it.
Buddy. You don't, I'm not that person either, Lisa. Fortunately, my wife is. But if you're on this call, do you have access to Kyle Helm?
Lisa,
I don't know.
what I'll do, Lisa, is I will send you and Shu when we get off this call. I have both your emails. I'll connect you two. Okay.
Okay.
Shu, good, right? I'll send you an email, the two of you, and you two can swap numbers and chat. That would be great. And Kyle, I can give you Kyle. Kyle is your upline.
Okay.
Kyle's there. He'll be our guest next week too. And you know what we were talking about last night? You were on the call last night with us, and we were talking about you don't have to be good at everything,
Right.
And we just put together, like I was an executive director for 30 years of different not-for-profits. And what I knew is I couldn't be good at everything. I had to be good at what I was good at. And then I'd surround myself by the people I needed on my board. I needed a CPA, I needed a lawyer, I needed a programs person. So that's what we have here. We have expertise in so many different areas, and that's why it's such a cool community to be a part of. So you don't have to be good at everything. And I don't mind organizing stuff. That's what I like to do. So I'm going to help you. We're going to help you. Okay. We're a team here.
There you go. So some people are real balanced. Christine's probably like that. My wife's like that. But I'm more like you. But you and I need, if there's going to be money flow, we need somebody who loves that part of it. Kyle Helms in your upline, get a hold of him. I mean, he loves the trends and the way the comp plans work. I mean, he sees into that just like you and I see into. people physically or about making purchase decisions. He sees into that team building thing and the company building thing. So that you don't have to be that person, but you do have to have access to somebody. And so
Right.
pick a favorite. And I'd recommend, I don't know how it goes up between you and Kyle. Kyle's one of the best in the world that I've
Okay.
ever come across on that topic. We've got him next week. And there's other people on this call that I believe their aptitude goes that way as well.
Okay.
And next week we're having a contest. Whoever brings the youngest guest is going to win a prize. That's not a baby. It has to be an 18 or above, but the youngest guest next week. Okay. That's a prize. Right, Eddie?
Okay.
All right. Well, listen, everyone. Thank you for being here. Any more comments before we all au revoir and go Avini Vibe out in the world? Any comments, questions, concerns?
I just thank Lisa for speaking up, because we know a little bit about Lisa now. I didn't know anything before. And so we know a tiny bit about you, Lisa. And, we are all resources for you. For Shu, he's up there in the probably other corner of the country. What an interesting guy. And he started out, he's done company after company after company. I'm sure just, throwing money into him. But at this time, Robin West and Marcy, watching over him and making sure that something grows. And he does plenty of work for it to grow, but somebody has to intentionally make it work. You have to intentionally make sure all the little places are achieved. So thank you for speaking up, Shu, in that way.
You bet.
Thank you.
I just
Thank
wanted
you.
to thank Chip for being so thought-provoking. When I'm kind of in a funk and I'm not just really wanting to get into things, I think, oh, if I can hear Chip, he'll get my brain going and give me new ideas to feed off of.
Well, you do the same for me, Pat.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Pat. Alan has his hand up.
That's right. I just wanted to say just very briefly, we're in this group. Ed Kwasky is my sponsor, if I can use that word. And we have good leadership all the way up to Chip and beyond. It's amazing to me how well we work together. There's no profit in it for Christine, for example, if she helps me do something. And the same with others. I'm willing to help anybody, anywhere, anytime. And that idea pervades this company. And it's wonderful to be in a relationship with folks like you all. And Chip, thank you so much for the help that you've been and will continue to be, because I know how you are and appreciate you and we love you.
Man.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. Remember, come next week. Get out there, enjoy, do like Shu, go soar.
Do like you.
Do like Shu. I'm gonna get a T-shirt like that. Do like Shu. Shu, thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here tonight. Carol, I know you're listening. You get better. We love you, Carol. Thank
Yeah, we
you.
love you, Carol.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Sweet
Bye
boy.
bye.
Sound terrible. Hope you feel better.
Thank you.
We'll have the recording, okay? And God bless you. Have a great night. See you all
Bye,
next.
guys.
Thank you, Carol.
Bye-bye.
Bye.